Good morning. Welcome to the Long Live Alternative Parties podcast. Free Press Media Press Inc., an alternative parties books publisher, sponsors this podcast. I'm Andrew Bouchard. Welcome to Long Live Alternative Parties podcast. Today we have another exciting guest, like we always have. His name is Garret, and he is a Libertarian Party member who is running for office. So welcome to the podcast, Garret.
Howdy, nice to be here.
Garret, if we can get started by you kindly giving us an introduction to yourself, a brief biographical sketch.
Well, my name's Garret Sheeks. I'm a son of a small business owner, pizza owner here close to Stuttgart, Arkansas. And my family and me have been living on our pretty 100-year-old farmstead that we've built up over the years. And other than that, I'm just a pretty normal dude going to school and trying to get out. And I got to see how bad the system was and wanted to get out and make some change.
Sure.
That's pretty much me. I mean, I'm not a lot to crow about, but I got some good policies and I've been having some good reception from it.
Excellent. So kindly tell our audience what office you're running for.
I'm running for a State House representative of the 61st District. It's a new district after the redistricting went through, I believe, in 2021. It was just last year. And so I'm just going to be regular State House rep.
What are the demographics of the district? Is it big? Is it small, rural, urban?
The district itself, population-wise, is pretty small. I think it's only about 33,000 people. It's a very large land scale, and it's very, very farmland-oriented, smaller cities, nothing probably over 10,000 people.
Sure. So you said it's a new district, so are you predicting it to be a red or blue district?
Oh, I'm going to definitely predict it to be a red one, at least in terms of where we are in Arkansas. It's probably going to end up being a pretty red district. I will say, might have a chance to turn it a little yellow this time around, though.
Yes, that would be awesome. So kindly tell our audience what the roles and responsibilities of the office you're seeking are.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, the rules and responsibilities are that I need to get out and talk to people, and if at all possible, if they need something, go back to Little Rock and tell them exactly what these people need.
Okay.
There's more details obviously to it than that, but my job is working for the people and doing what they need.
So a big part of your job, if not the entire part of the job, is direct communication with the people.
Yes, sir.
Excellent. So how do you plan to implement the Libertarian Party vision shall you get elected to this position?
Well, I tell people the main thing I'm running on right now is attempting to end the property tax in the state. I'm hoping that if we can get to a point where we can actually own our property again, and if while I'm doing the best I can in Little Rock and communicating with the people back home, if they can get the grassroots movement going to revitalize their communities, open new businesses, get some pride back in these small towns where they can open up free market education outlets, or they can open up businesses and don't have to worry about the government taking from them while they're doing that, and they can get back to rebuilding, because there's a lot of communities that are dying and they're getting drowned in these fees, arbitrary fees and taxations.
So how much is the property tax there?
Specifically, it varies a little bit. I know that sales tax here is 11%. It's the highest of any county in Arkansas County. That's one of my district counties. Let me double check here.
Okay.
Our property tax got redone. Let's see what we're up to now. I believe they vary a little bit from county to county. Well, they'll tell me. They're not going to tell me here. It's a decent percentage, though, if I remember correctly. The statewide effective is 0.61%, but I believe the counties can set their own taxes, and that's one of the bigger issues.
So when the counties set their taxes, is it more than what the state would do, or are they fiscally conservative?
I'm not going to say they're fiscally conservative, that's for sure. that's one of the bigger issues. Okay, so 6-3. So one of the bigger issues we have, and that's kind of a national issue as well, is that when you look at the two main parties, neither of them are anything that you think they should be.
Sure.
Conservatives tend to not be very fiscally conservative, and liberals don't tend to care about your rights.
Sure. So who are your opponents in this race? What are they like?
My main opponent right now, as it goes, is the incumbent, Mr. David Hillman, who doesn't live very far from me. He originally won as a Democrat, and then he switched to Republican and has run unopposed, I think, the last 2 or 3 elections.
Oh, my.
And he's up in his, I believe now in his 70s, and he has voted party line in both of his party affiliations. Other than that, I've got a Democrat who jumped in late, Mr. Martin, out of Stuttgart, and I have 2 Republicans running the primary, Mr. Hillman, and Mr. Moore, and Mr. Reeves. And as far as I can tell, they seem to be okay. I think Mr. Moore is a lot more of a maybe larger career politician, and Mr. Reeves is a mechanic.
Interesting. So when they changed the district, you said that one guy was the incumbent. How did that work when he's in the new district? Was he elected? When was he elected? How did that work?
He was elected last time. He was elected in 2016.
Okay.
He was unopposed in 2016, and he became the district rep then. And then when the districts were redone, I just so happened to end up in the new, in his still district, just with a new name, new number.
Okay. So is your campaign strategy similar to what you are going to do shall you get elected in the position? Is direct contact with the voters? How are you planning to reach the voters in your area?
Oh yes, sir. As I'm going to all these small towns around, I'm focusing mainly on the smaller towns. So what I've said, and this is one of my bigger promises as far as like tell people I will try to do things, but this is one of my only real promises, is that if elected, I'm going to make that circuit, try to make that circuit once or bi-monthly, and go to these towns again and ask them exactly how they feel I'm doing.
Sure, that sounds good. So I assume that's more than the incumbent is doing.
I would think so, based off of most people I've talked to here in the last week and a half. I would say that would be a lot more than what the incumbent is doing.
Oh, excellent.
Mm-hmm.
So if I heard you correctly, you said that there were 33,000 people in the district. How many votes do you anticipate needing to win the office?
Well, based on the election percentages in the last couple of elections, about 8,000 people voted. But like I said, that was in the old district, and that was for someone who's running opposed. I'm expecting that I'll probably about 800 to 2,000 votes will probably be deciding this.
Oh my. Oh my. That's something that's within reach, it sounds like.
Definitely so. I've encouraged people everywhere I go to get registered. Even if you ain't going to vote for me, I tell them get registered and get out and get involved.
So is this election in November or is it another date?
I will be elected. I'll be on the general election in November, from what I understand, and there will be a primary and early voting beginning May 24th.
Early voting beginning May 24th.
Mm-hmm.
So in your state, the early voting is that much before the election?
Usually it starts because they need primaries. They have to start the Republican and Democrat primaries.
Okay.
And they have to get the deciding guy done so that they can move on to the general.
Okay. Okay, sure. So, do you have a team helping you out with this race, or are you doing it all by yourself?
Right now, the only person on my team is a secretary. She helps keep up with where I'm going, but for the most part, I'm a one-man show. She helps proofread all my materials, and let me have a look here. Actually, no, early voting begins on May the 9th.
May 9th, okay.
It's a two-person team right now.
Sure. And how did you find her?
She was, I met her at the Libertarian Party convention. She doesn't live very close to me, but I send her materials, and she's so good at proofreading. She offered to help.
Oh, good. So she's doing this mostly from a distance, it sounds like, right?
Right, yeah. She basically what she handles is I send her what I'd like to say, like the write-ups that I put on my campaign page, and she proofreads it and makes sure it all makes sense.
Sure. And is the capital area where you would go to, so if you got elected, how would you get to your office? Would you have to move locations, or how would that work?
Well, I believe I would not necessarily have to move, to my understanding. Luckily, I have a friend that lives very close to Little Rock, the capital, so I could stay there during voting sessions. From what I understand here is besides your salary, they give you gas money to get yourself to Little Rock during the voting sessions.
So for those of our audience who may not be familiar with the ins and outs of that, so when you say voting sessions, so if somebody's elected to the office, then they would only have to be there during the voting sessions, and then the other times of the year they would be able to be at their current home?
Well, from what I understand, and this could be a little different, is that while they're debating topics, obviously, while it is in session, while there are topics you'll be debating on, you'll be able to pick up materials and you'll know what they are, and you can debate on the floor and be there to vote. Other than that, I think most of the times it seems like they stay home and at their personal offices or office buildings, wherever they are.
Sure. So what type of voter are you trying to reach? Who's your target audience?
I'm trying to reach anyone who's interested in the change in the state in general. I'm not looking for any specific demographic other than people who are just tired of not being listened to.
Sure. So how have people been receptive so far? I take it they're receptive to your campaign?
So far in the places I've been, I've received a lot of support, especially in the small business areas. Whenever I go to talk to people, I've received pretty overwhelming support from businesses on the idea of, the government being out of their way so they can conduct business as they see fit.
In addition to the tax issues you mentioned, what other issues are the constituents in your area facing?
Biggest secondary issue I've seen here lately is education.
Education, okay.
Many small town schools have closed and they're being pushed off elsewhere, and they worry about the ones that are still there not receiving proper education because of state, either state restrictions or state needs for, the teaching the test kind of deals where they have the state tests. Another issue is they're not being prepared well because it's hard to get teachers to want to move to these smaller towns when the money's not there. And I've been pushing the idea of free market education where someone who has qualifications that parents like can pay directly to teach their teach their kids. They can be involved directly with their education.
How are you fundraising for this campaign?
Right now, the main thing I'm doing is if anybody wants to give a donation, I plan on doing some official fundraisers a little bit later here, probably closer to the primary. Mostly it's self-funded. I will go ahead and tell you it's been self-funded pretty much up till now.
Oh my. So for candidates who are running for office, who might be listening to this, how would you advise them to spend the money the most wise way since it's often limited?
I'll tell you right now, the biggest thing I've been able to get out is business cards.
Business cards?
Move your business cards and get out on the pavement, because that is the biggest way you're going to meet people. You will not believe how many people have told me I'm the first person they've met because no one has been out yet in their area. You just hit the pavement and you look them in the eye and you shake their hand and you tell them what you're looking for. And if they want to talk to you, many times they will talk to you for a long time. But some signs, some door hangers, and mostly cards have been a big success here.
So are people receptive to door-to-door now that COVID is going on its way out now?
Most of them have been fairly receptive. I mean, you'll vary from person to person, obviously, and from neighborhood to neighborhood, but most people will sit there and they'll take a card, and if they have a moment to listen, they usually do. But definitely get yourself out there and put all the information you can on the card, contact, and Facebook page with issues, and they've been fairly well, especially, like I said, in businesses have been fairly receptive.
Sure. I bet it helps that you're a small business owner yourself, so you can relate to the other small business owners.
Well, when my family did own the restaurant, we definitely knew exactly what was going on. I mean, as far as fees and taxation, as well as just the overhead from normal business, we had a very, very good idea. And when I've talked to people, they understand.
Sure. So for our audience out there, whether they live in your area or elsewhere, what is the best way that they can support your campaign?
Best way they can support my campaign right now is to find my Garret for District 61 Facebook campaign page, or find me personally.
Okay.
They can like and follow that. And if they know anybody living in the area, or just in general, if they want to get out and make a difference, if anything helps, they could send me. Obviously, they can send me donations, but I'm not asking for them.
Okay, so the best place to get connected with your campaign would be your Facebook page, Garret for District 61.
Yes, sir.
Excellent, excellent. Garret, we thank you for coming on the podcast today and describing your campaign and telling us about how you're challenging the system in your area.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much for having me on.
We wish you all the best with your campaign and all your other personal endeavors.
All right. Thank you
All right,
very
take
much.
care. Bye now.
All right. Bye.